Hey, Jim. Jim? Jim? Oh, wow. He must be taking his after record store day zone out. I hope he gets up soon.
I'm here. I'm just kind of taking stock of the situation after a couple of busy days here at the store. So, welcome once again to Two Guys Talking About Records, a vinyl community podcast. My name's Jim, and I'm a tired record store owner.
And I'm Steve, and I'm not a tired record collector. We're just looking for more.
You are. You're a little under the gravelly voice today, too.
I am, yes. Yeah, regretfully, I also have had the winter cold set in.
That's already too soon.
It is way too soon for this stuff.
Oh, but how you doing otherwise?
Yeah, otherwise really good.
Good
Very
record
good.
store day?
Yeah, it was. You know, there wasn't a lot that I wanted, but after you listen to some of these videos from other people, you go, oh, I should have grabbed that. Man, that one sounds really interesting. And so there was a few more, so I thought, well, you had some of these, and then I come in and, that's probably your best sellout I've ever seen you have.
It is very encouraging, but we also started with less than what we had.
Very true.
So today on the show, we are going to kind of give our thoughts, wrapping up the Record Store Day Black Friday 2023 experience. And because it is the season, and this is kind of an obligatory thing, just like hearing that Mariah Carey in, late September?
Yeah.
No, it's exaggerating. But let's talk some Christmas music today. There's some good, there's some annoying, but it's an annual rite of passage for vinyl owners.
That it is, and it's also a great way to score a lot of money if you're an artist.
It very, very much is true on that. But before we get to those, as is our weekly custom, let's talk about some pickups. Do you have any non-record store day stuff that we can get into?
I do have some non-record store day stuff. I just picked up the Laughing Hyenas. It's a great Detroit punk band, and it's called Life of Crime. It was the third album that came out in 1990.
I do remember those guys from my college radio days. Touch and Go Records, so that's some harsher punk.
Yes, yeah, it is. This wasn't too bad, though, at Third Man Record. You know, they really do a good job at Third Man on taking Detroit artists that were obscure and reissuing their stuff, so it was kind of fun to get that.
There's a few I'd like to see them to get to. Let's send a note off to Jack and
see
what happens.
It may happen. So I bought that. There was a group record that I brought in. Actually, I just brought in here for you to play. It's called Girl Trouble, and the name of the album is Hit or Quit, and they were out of Tacoma, Washington. It came out in 88, and it's just some fun garage rock. The lead singer has a little bit of a Lux Interior type vocals from the Cramps, but yet it's just fantastic. Someone had said, hey, you need to try this album, one of my commenters on my video channel, and so I'm really happy I did.
You asked if I remembered that, and I just remember the name, and that is about it. Otherwise, that's going to be coming in fresh for me to listen to.
Kind
of excited for that.
And the other one is, I bought that here last week. It was a group called The Struts.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty Vicious, which I know nothing about, but they've put out some other albums, but it's a newer group, and they're labeled as indie rock. But wow, I'm telling you, they take their 70s rock, and you hear Stones in there, you hear some Queen in there. It's just like 70s great hard rock. They do have the obligatory kind of a ballad where let's throw in a few strings and then the guitars swell and then it turns into this hard charging song. Well, I really enjoyed that album, and it was just in your bands. I had no idea about it, and you pulled up a couple of samples. Let me give it a try.
Yeah, that's The Struts, Pretty Vicious.
Yes, The Struts, Pretty Vicious. Really good.
Have to get some more for the store then.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I like it. Sometimes that's not good. What about you, Jim? What did you pick up this week?
Well, I've been a little preoccupied this week, you can imagine, with Black Friday and Small Business Saturday. But I did manage to bring one thing in, but I haven't listened to it yet. And what I grabbed was a live Who, and this was from earlier this year, and we've had it in the store. I had a chance to pick up a couple of more new copies of it, and it's the Who with orchestra live at Wembley. And it's a triple live Who album. I like the Who. They're not high up on my list, but I do enjoy listening to them. And a long time ago, I had that that real eponymous Who's the live album, the Who's Last, I think is what it was called, the live one. And I really enjoyed that. I got rid of it when we opened the store. And we talked, was it just a couple of weeks ago, about aging artists, and Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend are up there.
Yeah.
But Daltrey's voice, for the most part, hits the notes correctly on this. But it was recorded, I had to look it back up, it was recorded in 2019, in July of that year, and they did a one-night stand at Wembley. Yeah, July 6, 2019, they headlined a sellout show at the world-famous Wembley Stadium in London, playing there for the first time in 40 years. They did many of their greatest hits, but the show also featured the band, and this is according to their website, as they've never been seen before, accompanied by a 57-piece orchestra, the Isobel Griffiths Orchestra, according to their website. So it's interesting to hear some of their more rock, heavier stuff fleshed out with strings and horns and such. I've seen the videos on that one, and I listened to a couple cuts, and I thought I'm going to add this one into the collection.
When those are done right, I really enjoy it when they bring in an orchestra. When they bring in an orchestra. I mean, they can be totally disasters too.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, this did not work well. But when they get a very good arrangement that does not take away from the original, but really adds to it, some of them are fantastic.
And this one I'll put up there with some really great live albums. I'm going to get into it, obviously, here after things slow down in the next week or so, and I'll play it here in the store. I've got one to sell, so I can play my copy.
Yeah.
That's how it works here, but I'll do a deeper dive into it and let you know. But from what I've heard of a couple songs on YouTube, I really enjoy it.
Okay, fantastic.
But that's it. It's been a very quiet week on the intake, but the output, on the other hand, spurred on, of course, by Record Store Day, Black Friday, and then Small Business Saturday, has been just a busy one. We record these on a Sunday morning, so I'm really seriously on the heels of this. And you took a look already at our remaining crate of the Record Store Day Black Friday stuff, and it's pretty empty.
Yeah, I was hoping to pick up a couple things I saw, and no, they're not there anymore. That did very well for you. I really was surprised how little you have.
I've yet to pick up any more chatter from some of the other record stores in the area to hear how they did. We see some posts. It's really a busy time on social media and the like when a Record Store Day event happens. And the Black Friday one, although scaled back a little bit, is still fairly busy. And so I find myself missing notifications or people sending me notes or commenting. But we did see a couple things, most notably with Electric Kish saying, hey, we see Radio Wasteland has this, and they're telling people to come here. And we saw that they had some stuff, and we tell people, well, we're out of that, but try Kish, they may have it too. And I know that goes on a lot with people after the initial rush in the morning trying to find that item that they couldn't get at the first or second store they went to.
Yeah, I spent part of my day, going to different record stores. It wasn't. I don't stand in line anymore, especially in November, because I don't. It's cold. I still, will go out and you look to see what other people have and what's going on. And from what I talked with different people, everyone did buy less. They weren't sure. This was a real iffy one.
Yep.
And I think, you bought correctly. Obviously, you would say, well, there's some more if I had a few more of them.
There are a few titles. We'll get into that in a second. But as you said, overall, I think I've got actually 9 albums left in the crate from the Record Store Day Black Friday, which on the surface looks great, but you also have to realize I bought a lot less because I didn't think that there was going to be the draw now. Now, the title we talked about as well, the one Olivia Rodrigo, we ended up getting, I think, 3 copies of that for the store this Black Friday. And after going back and looking at my order sheets, I had ordered 8 of them. So this obviously got rationed. I didn't realize it because things were kind of busy with everything coming in. So I didn't get to compare what we got versus what we ordered. And I didn't remember off the top of my head. But now that I can take a little breathing room, I see that one was rationed. And so I think maybe, I don't know for certain, but I think maybe Record Store Day stepped in on this one like they have in the past to make sure that they're evenly spread out between the stores. Because that title, the Olivia Rodrigo, and it was like some extra tracks from her new album, Guts, some hidden tracks that they were talking there. So it was an EP, wasn't even a full album. by far and large was the most requested. After it was gone within 5 minutes in our store, we got calls and messages all morning. Do you have the Olivia Rodrigo? It went into Saturday. I got a couple calls. Did you get the Olivia Rodrigo? Do you have any Olivia Rodrigo left? And all I could say was, no, sorry, we don't.
This is where you need that answering machine to go, thank you for calling Radio Wasteland. No, we do not have Olivia Rodrigo. Anything else, please hit 2.
And try it out. And, that could have been one. I mean, we should have seen that coming. But even if I had and said maybe I've ordered 15, maybe if I'd ordered 20, I would have gotten 5. You can't tell with some of these particular artists how the actual dissemination is going to go. How many copies are we going to get? And we never really know until sometimes just a couple days before.
I talked to one store owner, and he tried to order 20 of those.
Really? Wow.
Didn't get any.
Oh, so I should feel lucky.
He was not a happy camper because he had anticipated, too, this one's going to be very good. Now, he's supposed to get some in, but not to what he had asked, but his ones hadn't arrived. And this was on Wednesday. Maybe he got them in on Friday. I don't know.
Wow. Now, I'm looking at the Record Store Day website, and now I do remember this one should not have been rationed the way it was. They made 7,500 of these, and it's listed as an RSD exclusive. So usually with the rationing, you'd expect that to happen with stuff that's under 3,000 being pressed.
I think it, again, comes down to the fans. Like a Taylor Swift, you can have 10,000, but you still have to ration it because it's going to sell.
Yeah.
And this is the same thing. She has a strong fan base.
So do not hold me to this, dear listeners, especially those of you who are on a wait list for Olivia Rodrigo, but I do kind of think that there's going to be some of these showing up after the fact. I think maybe they rationed in some way, or maybe they held some back, but I do think that when and if we see a residual list on Monday, that this will probably be on there. And I've got my notes here. I've got 5 people at least waiting for that, asking for it, and I think that we'd be able to get more.
Wow.
So we'll see what goes. But yeah, by far and large, I think that the Olivia Rodrigo, it was called Guts, The Secret Tracks, a 12-inch. And looking at this, it was a single-sided 4-song 12-inch, or an EP, if you will, and the side B was etched. And that one, and it didn't list for much. I think it was like $20-some-odd. I had people telling me it's already up in the $80 to $90 range on Discogs.
Yeah, but it's only 4 songs.
And that was the big one for Record Store Day Black Friday, out of nowhere.
Wow, man, 4 songs. One in a blank side. That is awesome.
Give me a second here. How about I checked it? Would you like me to check Discogs on
Yeah,
Let's see.
Go ahead and check that. I'd watched a video from one person, and he says, that one's not going to do well. If everyone thinks about, I'm not, he likes to flip. And he goes, no, I'm not even going to worry about that one. Now, maybe he was saying that so no one else would go after it.
Could be. But according to Discogs here, let's see. Right now, it's the statistics on Discogs as of Sunday morning call this 2,187 have versus 1,230 want. So it's not upside down on the have versus want. That's kind of good. Well, if there's 2,000 that have it and they press 7,000, that should tell you. And that's just the people who entered into Discogs. But there's already enough to tell us what we've got. The low selling point of that was $82.42. The median price, $92.95, and someone purchased one, and this is just in the past 2 days from a recording of this. Yeah. Someone purchased one for $150.
They wanted to make sure their princess was happy, or their prince, or somebody. That's nuts.
And again, just as a reminder, the list price on this, I think, was $22 or $23.
That sounds like Veruca Salt. That's it,
I want it now.
I want it now, Father.
Well, again, the fans, we've talked about this so many times.
Yeah.
It is worth what the fans are willing to pay for it. Mm-hmm. And this is one that the fans was willing to pay $154 on Discogs from one of those dreaded flippers.
Yeah, wow. But just $80 for 4 songs.
$150 on that top end.
Yeah,
just go get. So, yeah, the flippers, I don't know, that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
We do our best to dissuade them, and I know Record Store Day is really trying to address that. Discogs, unfortunately, I don't think can do much about flippers in this instance. And just a side note for you folks that say, well, why can't the record stores just sell their stuff online? We are hampered. The rules of Record Store Day state that we, as a store, a pledged store who gets these to sell to people on the event day, are not allowed to sell them online until the next morning. So by 8 a.m. the next morning, you'll see the record stores that have some stock left putting theirs up on Discogs, for example, or eBay, and the prices are going to be a little bit more realistic. So if you're ever in the buying mood for something that you missed on a Record Store Day event and you have to have it, be patient. If you wait a day, the stores that have stock left will put them up, and they'll put them up close at that range.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the flippers are the ones that it's like stock market speculation in a way. They're trying to see what's going to be big.
It absolutely
and
is.
if they get an inkling that, oh, hey, this Olivia Rodrigo 4-song thing is going to go, and if they go to a store that does not limit the number that they can get, there are stores out there that, just take what you want, buy what you want. We here, you're limited to one copy of one release per person. So one person could buy one copy of everything we've got if they really felt like it. Mm-hmm. But you're not going to be able to come in and say, oh, you've got 4 Olivia Rodrigo's 3. I'm going to buy all 3 of them and screw everybody else in the line and then go and sell them out there.
Yeah, I do agree with Record Store Day about not selling them online for stores until the day after, because, the whole purpose is to come into the store.
Absolutely agree with you on that.
Yeah, and to not. And, well, your second day, Saturday, was your big
For
day.
Us, we here at Radio Wasteland actually did better on Saturday, the Small Business Saturday, than we did with Record Store Day Black Friday, both in terms of the amount of records sold, the number of people through the door, and the amount of money that we made on those records sold. And I attribute that not so much because the Black Friday stuff wasn't good, because it was. People came out for that. But I did a vintage vinyl drop on Saturday that was a big one. It was a big one.
It was.
So, I had some high dollar stuff in there. Should we mention to our listeners who didn't watch our social media what that big one was that we teased last week?
Yes, you might as well. There, I'm staring at it.
It's looking at you on the shelf.
Exactly right.
It's the Tool Anemia, I think is how you say that. I'm trying to remember exact pronunciation. A first pressing. I verified that as a first pressing from 1996, double LP with the inner sleeves. And that was the big draw. There was a lot of people that looked at it, but nobody would want to jump, obviously, at that price range.
It's kind of like Wayne's World, where he goes in to look at that one guitar. Can I just touch it? Can I just touch it? Everyone coming in here, can I touch this Tool album?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. For $1, take a touch.
Or worse yet, on Spinal Tap. No, don't even look at it. Nope, don't even look at it. But that one, that was a toughie. It walked through the door just a few days before, early last week. And the guy knew what he had, so I paid for it. I paid accordingly for it. We try to be fair here with that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but that means that my margin on it's going to be a little bit less because I don't go with that Discogs price. The median price on that thing in Discogs was around $900.
Wow.
And it goes upwards for, I think, $1,200 to $1,400. This one is not in the best shape. The vinyl's really nice, but the cover's a little dinged up. Mm-hmm. So I thought we put a fair price on it, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
That was a biggie. But the drop on Saturday here was, I think, the big draw. I saved up a bunch of Michigan stuff. We had some very rare Seeger going out, some cool Nugent stuff going out, a lot of Michigan stuff. And that's, we're a Michigan-centric classic rock store, and that's what moves for us, and that's what brought the people in on Saturday.
Yeah, sealed Grand Funk.
Those did not move at all.
How about
no one touched me. Yeah, I had 5 sealed original Grand Funk albums that came in a few weeks back that I saved up for this drop on that day. But great stuff, those are tougher to price. Those are tougher to price because they're sealed. You can't open them up to make sure they're not warped. I do my best to flatten them out and see what they feel like. But man, that's a tough call sometimes with the pricing on a sealed album, especially it's from the late 60s and early 70s.
But it did help move out a lot of your record store day stuff. So they bought that. I mean, you had a lot of Limp Bizkit when I came in later in the day, and I think I see one left.
There is one left. That one, and that, back to the record store day talk, that one was ahead of time the most requested album that we had. What we do here at our store prior to the record store day, during the ordering period when we put our orders in, we're not allowed to reserve or pre-sell or pre-order these things. But what we, and I think a lot of other stores do, is ask our customers, what would you like us to get? Here's the list. Tell us what you want so we know what to order. By far, heading into it, I thought Limp Bizkit was going to be the biggest draw. We ordered, I think, 7 or 8 of them, and we got 7 or 8 of them. And they lasted throughout the day, and now we still have one left. So it goes to show that you never can really tell based upon what the initial, well, even you, when that list came out, you're like, oh my good, look at this, look at this, look at that, look at this.
Yeah.
And then that tones down once you study that list a little bit more.
It does. Once you really dig into it and you try to, okay, well, it's going to be reissued again. I don't need to have it right now. Yeah. This one's more rare. So I really didn't have much there. The one that didn't come in that I really would have liked was that Bo Diddley box set. Yeah. That was spendy, but it's put on by Third Man Records, so you pretty much feel good that that's going to be a real nice set, but that was limited to 900.
So that may be a tougher get, and I doubt that there's going to be any residual ones of that showing up.
Yeah.
But then there's always the cancellation ones too. Like I said, we at first, both of us were pretty excited about the King Missile. Mm-hmm. And after you listen to one of my other King Missile albums, you said, maybe I'll just deal with that one song on my playlist.
That's right. I'll just load that one song up I like, and we'll call it good with King Missile.
But it turned out to be a moot point anyway, because that album got canceled along with the Pauly Shore.
Yes.
I'm going to follow, just out of morbid curiosity, what's up with the Pauly Shore one, to see if they end up releasing that at some point down the line, and to see if it is actually a studio album or if it's just the recordings from his garage like we're seeing on YouTube.
Sure. Wow.
Now, what about your biggies? What were the big gets for you on Record Store Day?
Probably by far my favorite was a soundtrack, El Nino y El Sol, where Adrian Quesada, I believe, he's from the Black Pumas, plays on it. And it is Latin, funk, psych, all wrapped in. There's a lot of flute going on, and generally I'm not a guy that jumps all over a lot of flute, though I do like Jethro Tull.
Yeah, that's a little different.
Yeah, but this is great. I have been playing that one nonstop. It's fantastic sounding. It's just fun. It's instrumental from a soundtrack or whatever from 20 years ago. Then there was Ryle Kiley. I really, really wanted Under the Black Light, and I was able to pick that one up. And then, as I was in here, you had that John Lee Hooker. I hadn't planned on buying it. There it is.
Reeled you in.
Yep, live at the Cafe A Go-Go, and then the 13th Floor Elevators. I hadn't planned on buying that. But a lot of people were really excited about it, and because they were all excited about it, they got me excited about it, and so, well, there went some more money.
Then the 13th, have you got a chance to listen to the 13th Floor yet?
I did.
How's that sound? Because we did have a few of those, and that folks were they were into that one.
Yeah, it sounded good. To me, it sounded fine. I guess Rocky Erickson's only on a couple tracks on that singing.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, but he's there otherwise?
Probably, maybe, or on a spaceship or something. It's hard to say. It was Rocky.
On a spaceship somewhere.
Yes.
At that point. No, I ended up, without the King Missile, there was nothing that I really had to have through there.
Sure.
I mean, maybe I would have gone for the Screaming Trees, and I think folks were really excited about that one as well.
Yeah.
It was a live performance, but not a live performance in front of an audience or a concert or anything. It was just them performing live in a studio, one take to tape type of thing, and folks were really digging that because, one customer even said too, the Screaming Trees are one of those grunge bands from the West Coast that should have made it. They should have been at the level of a Nirvana or a Soundgarden, but for some reason they never really accomplished that.
Don't they always record live? I mean, I've never seen dead people do
well,
it, but
you know
yes.
What I mean.
I was just kidding. And here it is, and they're performing live in the studio. Well, I hope so, because otherwise it's really quiet.
You just want another edition for your Dead collection.
Yes, exactly.
But overall, I mean, Record Store Day Black Friday is supposed to be a more subdued event. It's not the April event. It's not as big. It's meant to be really kind of a kickoff to the shopping season type of event. But with that in mind, I think it was a good one for a lot of folks.
As I travel, I'll look at some different stores and see what they have left over, if it's similar to this or if they overbought. And once in a while, I find something. Hey, okay, I do want that. I don't need it though, and that's the problem. You also have to. I got the two I really wanted. I picked up two more I didn't need, but no, I got them. So
you may trip over a Bo Diddley at some point.
I would grab that.
And in the meantime, I'm just going to kind of hang out and wait and see if there is a residual list. The structure, I think we talked about ahead of time, is a little different this year because of that one big distributor that went out of business or is in the process of going out of business that did not participate in Record Store Day. So things were limited to just two major distributors for all the Record Store Day stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out with any kind of leftover items.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanksgiving leftovers. Yes. We're told not to call them leftovers, by the way.
Okay, all right.
It's residual or items that are still available. So don't call them RSD leftovers because they frown upon that.
Okay.
Well, quickly on the heels of Record Store Day, Black Friday, and that kickoff to the holiday shopping season, you are inundated with what kind of music pretty much everywhere you go, and we were not immune to it here either.
Yes, it is. It is Christmas season. There's no escaping it. It seems to come out before on TV, it's already popping out before Thanksgiving. It's earlier and earlier.
You go to some stores, and notably the big box stores, feels like the Halloween decorations go away, and the next day the Christmas decorations are up. But the Christmas music, that's a tough one for me. I like Christmas music, but there's a part of me that just, I'm over it. And I don't mean to be that Grinch type of guy because I'm a music guy, obviously at the record store. But sometimes it just like, I don't really want to listen to this until a couple days before Christmas or until there's snow on the ground, at least here in the mid-Michigan area.
I worked in retail for 35 years. I was inundated with Christmas music. And there were times where I went on suicide watch because Liza Minnelli's Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell would come on. And I was like, oh my God. Or Last Christmas from Wham, or Blue Christmas from Elvis. Paul McCartney, Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas.
I know that is, yes.
Oh.
Sorry to all you McCartney fans out there, but that's nails on a chalkboard for me, that song.
Yeah, it's just, you hear them over and over. Now, in a retail, if you work retail, you start to tune it out. And you really kind of start to block it. But if you really hate that song, there's no blocking that can be done. When Liza Minnelli comes on, I don't care, I've blocked every song, but suddenly she comes in and you just hear it.
Like a drill bit.
Yes.
Did you get out of retail before Mariah Carey's Christmas?
I'm afraid I did not. And so that was also became part of your staple. I could handle that a little bit better. Boy, there's a few of them. Generally speaking, I love Christmas music.
Yeah. I
had, before the flood, I had probably 200 Christmas CDs.
Wow.
Because after Christmas, in a Kmart store, they would clearance them out. Most of the time we didn't send them back, so suddenly they were dirt cheap. And I would just buy these up. And I had quite a few Christmas albums. But now, it kind of gets stupid every year. You buy these and you probably have the exact same song already. It's just like, well, it's cheap, so I'm going to buy this. But I really enjoy Christmas music because of the nostalgia factor.
Yep.
And it puts you in a happy place. Unless it's Paul McCartney singing about simply having a wonderful Christmas time.
And over again. But no, and I'll agree with you too. There is a huge psychological element to this, and why. And I do love Christmas music too, but it's got to be a certain type of Christmas music, and probably for me a certain time for Christmas music. But there's no arguing the fact that for whatever reason, I mean, you talk about the stress of holiday times, meeting with family, are we going to get gifts, especially in times where, there's turmoil outside of your immediate family circle with money or politics or, geopolitical, whatever's going on. There's a certain level of comfort to be found, not only in Christmas music, but just the whole aspect of Christmas and the holiday season. We're forgetting a few other holidays, but there's a certain aspect of comfort to that season for a lot of people.
And that is the purpose of Christmas music and the Christmas decorations, or as you said, there's lots of holidays going on here, is to put people at ease, to make it enjoyable as they're out there, and the hopes is they will spend more. I mean, that's the whole psychology behind this. By putting someone in a good mood, you will buy more because you just feel it's okay. The thing is, if a shopper keeps hearing that same song over and over, they actually do become irritated, and they will probably leave your store. Some people don't want all that, and they just feel inundated with it.
There's a balance that must be reached, I think, on the part of some retailers.
There is, and and they say a good Christmas song, if you're going to have a good Christmas song, the key is it needs to have short, repetitive lyrics, because that will stick in your head like an earworm, and it should have a holiday theme, obviously, but a holiday theme that we relate to, that we all kind of get, and it should be in a major key. No minor keys are allowed on Christmas music.
No, because you want them not to be. That's a little jarring for some people.
It is.
Whether that registers with them or not.
Yep. And 4x4 beat because it's danceable.
Well, McCartney hit that one, didn't he?
It is. And that's what they say. 90% of these Christmas songs, they're danceable. You're out there. I mean, you're just kind of, you're just bopping along as you're going. But that's what makes you feel good.
From the standpoint of an artist, and more importantly, a record label, Christmas music and Christmas albums are cash cows for a lot of reasons. We touched on the demand that people want. They want this music that's going to make them feel good at this time of year. So there's a built-in demand at that point for just about any artist to put out a Christmas album. But there's a deeper reason for the reason that these make so much money, and that's the fact that a lot of the music that these artists will record for Christmas albums is already in the public domain. So they do not have to pay songwriting credits or ASCAP in many cases. They may have to pay an arrangement fee in some cases, but you take a song like Jingle Bells or any other Christmas staple that's been around since the 1800s, you are a popular artist, you record that in a studio, you have some session musicians put in some Jingle Bells behind you, and cha-ching, it's there.
When Mariah Carey did her big album, I think it was 1994, when she had her big Christmas album, she also produced it. She wrote one of the songs on it. So she was getting this super big cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching going on. She knew what she was doing with this thing. And the other thing about a Christmas album is how many albums go back in the charts later on in life. Yeah. Unless you're Dark Side of the Moon, there's not many, but a great Christmas album, it comes out and people will scoop it up again and again. So it's just the gift that keeps on giving.
And there's also, a tremendous list of artists who you wouldn't think would be doing Christmas albums out there. I see that, when we look for the buying, when I try to buy new Christmas albums, and especially with the older Christmas albums. Here at the store, I've got a huge selection of $1 Christmas albums. We talked about the dollar bins. I still maintain that. Looking across the room right now, I see two giant crates. There's probably about 300 to 400 $1 Christmas albums that people will dig through. And then I've got another 200 to 300 priced ones just in the used category. And there's stuff there that you would think, well, wow, they did a Christmas album? Interesting. A Hawaiian Christmas I'm looking at, a Smurfs Christmas, and the ever-popular Tijuana Christmas. Herb Alpert, his own, but this one was a separate. So just about any artist you can think of is going to have a Christmas album out there.
They do. Or they throw a track like Joan Jett, that little drummer boy, which is dumb, but it pays money. Yep. And if you like the artist, you want that. You could think of, Carrie Underwood, how she's done that. What happens, though, is some of these groups, they do a Christmas album And suddenly that's all they're known for, and nobody cares about their music.
Are you talking about Mannheim Steamroller?
Mannheim Steamroller.
Yes.
You know, I used to buy their albums before the Christmas albums.
Oh, yeah. I've got all of their Fresh Air series.
Yeah, the Fresh Air, and I really, really liked them. And then they came out with the Christmas tunes, and guess what? No one cares. Those Mannheim Steamroller, they don't go, or Fresh Air, they don't go for anything. But their Christmas albums, I think it's the number 2 and 3 best-selling Christmas albums of all time.
And it's to the point where it's like being typecast as an actor. Chip Davis from Mannheim Steamroller still tours, and I believe he's been here to Midland,
Yes,
Michigan
he has.
a few
I've
times.
been there.
And he shows up for a Christmas concert.
Yes.
It's like I would actually probably go see Chip Davis and whatever is remaining of Mannheim Steamroller if they did some of their Fresh Air series, maybe a nice springtime feeling song, but it's all Christmas for them.
It is. And you have groups like Straight No Chaser, which is an a
Oh,
cappella group. They're now only Christmas. Pentatonics.
Yep, Pentatonics are another one.
Yeah,
And
they've tried to put out other CDs. They do sell. They might sell 200,000, but they're going to sell 1 million on a Christmas one. Lindsey Sterling.
Yep.
She's put out some great stuff, but I'm telling you, how many Christmas albums? I mean, they use in their Christmas album because it makes her money. And Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Oh, yeah.
Again, this is what people want. And so these groups, when do they tour? They don't tour through a lot of the year because no one cares. It's Christmas time, though, and you want to hear it, and you're excited to hear it, and you go and you feel good, and it's fantastic.
So what does strike? We're talking about all these other artists, and when we discussed doing a talk about Christmas music, I went back again through my Discogs. You have the ability to look at your collection in multiple different ways, and I just typed in the keyword Christmas in my Discogs collection, and it brings up other things that have Christmas. So of course you're going to see the Who's Tommy in there, for example, which is not a Christmas album, but it has a song about Christmas in there. But I looked at this, and out of my entire collection, and I'm not going to do the math on here, but I have a total of 12 legitimate Christmas albums in my entire vinyl record collection.
And some of them are kind of warped.
Some of them are. Well, yes. Some of them, warped not in the physical sense.
No.
But in the other sense.
They've taken Christmas music to a whole new different level.
You know me and my proclivity for liking the more different type, although I do have some very traditional stuff.
Yeah.
Would you like me to run down my list real quick?
Yeah,
and
go
see where it
ahead.
stands
You
with
fire
here?
away.
I've got one from the Hampton String Quartet, if I'm feeling in a very classical mood.
Wow.
This is their What If Mozart Wrote Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Now, I've got a few other Hampton String. It's like What If Mozart Wrote Born to Be Wild and some cool stuff in that. But this is all just, it's classical Christmas music done by a classical orchestra. If I'm in a jazz mood, I've got a various artists called Jingle Bell Jazz. This has got some Christmas tunes on there. These are various artist compilations, which I think is a great way to go for a lot of Christmas music, by the way. But this has got Duke Ellington on there, Lionel Hampton. It's even got a cut from Herbie Hancock, so it's not all these classical jazz artists. Hendrix, Lambert and Hendrix and Ross. And then, of course, you've got a Miles Davis tune on here as well. It's Blue Christmas or Blue Xmas, To Whom It May Concern. So that's the jazz side. Then I've got some other more easy listening ones, and I don't even remember where I've got this. I've had this album in our collection forever and ever, and Kim really likes this as well. It's from a group called First Call, along with an artist named David Maddox, and it's called An Evening in December. It is vocal and just kind of easy listening Christmas music, and I think First Call is pretty much just session musicians. I can't find any information on them. Same thing with David Maddox. Now, the ones that I really enjoy, and I've got some great Christmas music, and these are the go-tos for me, an artist named John Fahey, and it's called The New Possibility, John Fahey's Guitar Soli Christmas album. This is folk/classical guitar and a lot of instrumental Christmas stuff. Now, in reading, John Fahey was the founder of Tacoma Records, and he partnered with and brought in the likes of Leo Kottke.
Okay.
So it's that kind of 12-string, the very, I don't want to call it cerebral Christmas music, but it's very classical sounding, guitar classical sounding. Now, on the odd side of this, this is the fun stuff. I've got a Christmas with the Smithereens. This was released a couple of years ago, but their Christmas music has been out in compilations in various forms, so they put out a full album. So the Smithereens doing pretty much straight up Christmas music, and that's cool too. But my crowning jewel, and I've had this for a while, is the punk band Bad Religion and their Christmas songs. This originally came out, I think, in 2013 on compact disc only, and it came out, I think, in 19 on vinyl for the first time. And you would think, okay, you're familiar with Bad Religion, right? They're very aggressive, almost hardcore political punk music.
Yeah.
So when this came out, I thought, oh man, they're really going to massacre these, kind of like the Vandals would do, making fun of Christmas music and their oi to the world. But these are straightforward Christmas carols set at a very fast pace, heavy guitar riffs, and it's great. I love this Christmas music. We're going to try to post up that link to some of these. But you've got Bad Religion singing Hark the Herald Angels Sing, Oh Come All Ye Faithful, The Little Drummer Boy, and God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, done in a punk style that is not at the least bit irreverent. It's just straightforward, great punk rock Christmas music.
Yeah.
The only problem is it's a single-sided LP, and the other side's an etching, so you don't get as much of it. So, well, what about you? What are some of your standards, your go-tos?
Yeah, I was raised, my dad was a minister, so secular music is extremely important to me, and it's truly what I like best about Christmas hymns is just that's what I enjoy. But my favorite by far is Handel's Messiah. Oh, yeah. I have played every year, and we're talking 40 years at least, I play it in totality. I have the whole thing. It inspires me. It just gives me chills when I hear it. It has to be a good one, because there's different versions of it, and I want more full orchestration. But beautiful. Charlie Brown's Christmas.
There we go.
Talk about making you happy, to feel good about yourself.
Making you miss that childhood.
Yes, very much so. Mannheim Steamroller albums. I love their Christmas albums. And yes, I've seen them in concert. Mormon Tabernacle Choir. I'm pretty much in on any kind of thing that they would do. Again, it's the beauty of the season and what they bring to it. And they can take a secular hymn and just make it sound wonderful. Home Alone soundtrack.
Really?
And,
cool.
that is such a cool one, and I had finally got it. I mean, I looked forever, and I finally found it, and then the flood wiped it out, and I haven't found it since. I was like, well, there it goes. I guess God said, no, you really shouldn't have that one. But I like that one. And, that's the thing. Christmas movies, they make great soundtracks. I mean, White Christmas is out there, though that's not one of mine. But, Charlie Brown, The Grinch, but I do like what I hear on that. And, there's like Carol of Bells that they sing on that. I love the Carol of Bells. So I definitely, if I'm going to listen to Christmas, I like more of a secular. My wife's kind of into that 50s kind of Christmas thing, Brenda Lee and all that. And, okay, I'll put some of that on, but I want something more.
Interesting. That's some cool stuff. So it's not, again, that either of us, I think we could agree, are against Christmas music. I think it just has to be done tastefully. It has to be done respectfully.
Yeah.
And even if I'm joking around about, like, for example, that Bad Religion, I think it's a tremendously respectful Christmas album done by a punk group.
Sure. I agree. That's what I look for, because it is the holiday season's wonderful. For some people, it's not, and I do understand that.
Yeah.
That's just, it happens. And as you said, there's so much that happens around the world, but holiday tunes can help you get through it. It can bring you some joy and happiness. Even if you're having something bad, they make those songs to inspire you and to try to relax and calm you. And this is the beauty of the music. But isn't that what music's totally all about?
It is. And I think when you mix in the wonderment, especially for kids, of a holiday season and Christmas in particular, and they can build so many great memories around that holiday because of the music and because of everything else going on, that sticks with them for the rest of their life. And you mentioned Charlie Brown. That should have been on my list. I don't have a Charlie Brown record, but I've got some various that have them.
Yeah, it brings you back. Yeah. We have that music from our childhood, and we still like to hear it because unless you had a lot of real crappy Christmases, then you may not. But if you finally got that one item you wanted, then hey, there's a Christmas song playing. I like this.
Sticks with you.
Yes.
Well, what are some of your favorite Christmas tunes, or subsequently, what maybe are some that are bugging you? And I don't want to pick on McCartney too much longer, but yeah, that song really just is. I get. Never mind. We won't go there.
Yep.
It's a happy discussion right now. We're talking about music that we love.
Yes, it is.
But what are some of your favorites? Let us know in the comments. You can check out the Two Guys Talking About Records Facebook page. It's probably the easiest way to interact with us in this case.
I was just told that if you have Alexa, you can call up Two Guys Talking About Records, and she takes you to our podcast.
Really?
Yes,
Alexa?
a guy out of Canada told me that. He goes, you sit there and go, Alexa, Two Guys Talking About Records, and our podcast came up.
Well, very cool. And that's on the Spotify side?
I guess. I'm
Or
not
through a
sure
different
what.
one?
He did it.
Well, we're stepping up in the world.
So thank you, Daryl.
All right. Well, you folks have been listening to Two Guys Talking About Records, a vinyl community podcast, brought to you each week on the likes of, Podbean and Spotify. We've got it up on our YouTube channel, and it is on iHeartRadio. That's the other one I forgot there. So lots of places to check us out. Look for us on Facebook. That's going to be the easiest way to interact. I get a lot of folks saying, well, I can't comment on Spotify, and I'm not that familiar with how Spotify works, but I guess you cannot.
Okay, I don't know either.
Go from there. So until next week, we're kind of wrapping up the year here very quickly. November is in the books, and December is, that holiday season is upon us.
Yeah, it is.
So we'll take things as we go, and hopefully you folks have a great, hopefully you had a great record store day.
Yes.
And a better small business Saturday, and here's looking forward to the holidays.
Yep. Here they come, ready or not, doesn't matter. They're here.
Are you simply going to have a wonderful Christmas time?
I will simply have a wonderful Christmas
You're
time.
simply going to have a wonderful Christmas time?
Yes, I will.
All right. We're done. Thank you, folks. You have a great week, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.